We'll start with a roll, please, Joan. Here. Here.
Jim Archibald.
Here.
Paul Sprague.
Here.
Dan Lilly.
Here.
Wayne Banks.
Here. Okay. Okay, we have two sets of minutes that need to be approved, and I have to apologize to Joan for making her go back on that February minutes. She was right. So I need a motion on the February minutes.
Yeah, I'll move that we accept the February minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
He seconded, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, February is good. Oh, how about the March minutes? Last meeting?
Move to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Okay, I'm going to make a slight amendment here to the agenda. We have Nancy by here from the town council, and she has a meeting to be at. So I'm going to ask for the liaison reports next. So Nancy, if you want to come on up, please.
Hi, Nancy By, Town Council. Thank you for doing that for me, by the way.
Sure, no problem.
Sometimes it's not enough hours in the day. No. Anyway, so I have a couple of things that might be of interest to you briefly. The other night at the Town Council meeting, at the regular meeting, we were discussing an appointment for the Harbor Commission. And as you know, we have three applicants currently for that position. And one of the other counselors mentioned that one of the applicants is also on another committee in town. And so I kind of thought about it a little bit, and I asked the town solicitor if he would do a little, investigating and just research and see if that's okay, if we were to choose that person. He did get back to me with an answer, but I'm not going to tell you what it is now because we haven't discussed it with the applicant. So that's one thing. And then in executive session, we voted to renew the lease at Dutch with TPG for the next year from June to June. So are there any questions for me?
I missed that last part about TPG.
TPG, right. So their contract came up, so we renewed it for another year.
Oh, it is renewed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the same for East Ferry too.
Last
Oh.
time, but nothing yet. Nothing.
Just West Ferry
Right.
has been re-signed.
Right.
with
We're still
TPG.
working on East Ferry.
Status to the
East Ferry has
Sure.
been giving a 1-year extension that
Right,
runs to
right.
this coming end of December. And in the meantime, they owe the town a plan for the steel pile pier.
Get it.
Okay. Thanks again. And thank you for being accommodating.
Sure.
Nancy, real quick, do you feel as though you'll have the ability to get someone appointed by the next meeting with the answers that you've received?
Yes, and that's my goal. And the only thing that would change is if we didn't have a quorum. Hopefully we will. Thank you. I'm going to sit for a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we might as well go ahead with the conservation.
Yeah, conservation doesn't meet till next week because of so nothing, no update. Yeah.
Okay. Back to where we should be. Open forum. Nothing scheduled. And any non-scheduled, anything for open forum? Okay, moving along. The executive director's report, Jim.
Good evening. Thanks, everyone. Couple of things. Just an update on the harbor management plan and the water quality certification. I got word back earlier today from DEM on their piece of which entails the water quality certification. And initially, back in late December, they indicated barring no conflict with other work, they hope to have some word for me, at least on a first round of their review by end of March. So I reached out to them last week and they responded today saying they have not even looked at it yet and don't expect to get to it until end of May. their workload continues to be redirected towards other more pressing matters. I mentioned to my new temporary CRMC contact who is filling in for Kevin Cute. CRMC has no current plans to fill the role. So I indicated to that interim contact that should the approval of the harbor management plan continue to lag on, we will move out the sunset clause to the equivalent of 9 months from the time that harbor management plan is approved, because that was the condition that I was given from Kevin Cute. So if, for instance, the plan is approved July 1st, 9 months from that date, I will update the harbor management plan to reflect the intention of when the sunset clause would then go into effect. It is my hope at some point to have some sense of when the management plan will be finalized and approved, so that I can then start to communicate to the mooring society of what's coming their way with an official notice. Interns. You may have seen the ad in the Jamestown Press. Unfortunately, it had an ad as well for an assistant harbor master, which is incorrect. That was my own fault for not notifying them in time. I was away on vacation when that posting went around for, oh, by the way, this is coming up for spring job hires. So I've heard nothing for the intern position. I have since also sent a message to URI and Mass Maritime, and tomorrow afternoon, Bart and I are attending a job fair at Mass Maritime Academy, which we will get to speak with any hopefully interested candidates.
So nobody's applied?
No one has applied as of yet.
Okay.
Doesn't Jamestown have a, one similar one on Saturday?
For Parks and Rec and the police department.
Okay. Because it did list in the press, the harbor master and the assistant harbor. or
Yeah.
The interns. And the,
I can look into whether or not someone is representing the harbor at that
right.
gathering.
Yeah.
It was not brought to my attention that I should attend.
Well, it was in the press, so
Yes,
people may go there looking.
yeah. I did speak to one individual who called about the assistant harbor master position. He's a 60-some-year-old retired individual, and I asked him, would you be interested in an intern position for the summer? He said he'd get back to me.
One question, do you need a license to be able to be the
No.
assistant? I thought
No.
so.
What's the intern pay?
$18.50.
Oh, yeah, I might apply.
One other thing that Meg and I were just speaking about at the Fort Getty Ad Hoc Committee, we're starting to dive into some of the details related to the boat ramp and truck trailer parking and so on and so forth. And I wanted to make you all aware that at some point I may need the Harbor Commission to interject their point of view on boat and trailer parking for Fort Getty. Right now, the committee seems to be somewhat unsure as to how much parking might be allocated, where in the park it would be placed, and so on and so forth. I will keep you abreast of all of that. I certainly can lend my opinion on all of it, but I may ask the Harbor Commission to provide even more reinforcement in that regard. The committee has not determined how much parking should be made available for during the season boating activities. There are 26 spots that are sold each year for trailers, for people that put their boat in the water for the season. But there could be a couple of dozen or so, or even more, trucks and trailers that come in on a busy holiday weekend looking to utilize that boat ramp, in which it may be a struggle to find parking. So I may ask the commission to lend some insight into that as well.
Bart or Jim, is that anything we've ever kind of kept track of in the past? Like, because I know just from personal experience down there, there always seems to be, let's say, half a dozen-ish kind of cars parked on the side there whenever there's the ramps kind of.
The challenge may come from how the committee recommends space that had been used, is currently used for truck and trailer parking. They may decide that they want that to be left as open space, which would
Gotcha.
prohibit the use of parking.
Yeah.
Because right now there's a significant effort to create as much open space as possible there, including areas that are north of the CISF campus. So it remains to be seen just how much space will be allocated for truck and trailer. We certainly don't want people parking down by the entrance shack and then have to come back and forth, putting a boat in the water and then have to bring their trailer at the other end of the park.
Yeah, got it. Yep.
I would
Okay.
think that would be something we should be significantly involved in as harbor. Since we're kind of regulating and managing that ramp, we definitely should have input on how that's designated. I think it's important to have parking down there for,
I do keep them abreast of it, but until they determine or take a closer look at it, there's no additional input necessary. But when that time comes, if it looks like the committee is taking the wrong direction, I will definitely ask the Harbor Commission to also step in.
yeah, I would hope that the Harbor Commission would supersede the ad hoc committee on how that kind of thing is managed, and that they don't have full say in everything that happens at Fort Getty. So gotta tread lightly on that one. What's that? Yeah,
Exactly.
understood.
Exactly.
Meg or Tony have any insight on how many cars are typically, running around looking for parking on a summer day?
Well, as of right now, it's not a problem. You have that big field by the sailing school. People are utilizing that. It did take some away where they put the posts in where they.
Thank you, Tony.
You gotta turn it on, Tony.
It's on.
But you can hear.
No. Up, it should be up. When the button's up all the way, it's on. Now they utilize the field right next to the sailing school. So if that gets cut off, you're not gonna have any more parking and what you parking along with the trailer. So definitely think that commission should have something to do with that, especially seeing that you have income. Well, what you should have income goes into the general fund, but most of the income that will get besides the campus. The fact that Status County Station recreational. And you get $30,000 for people that drive in it, they rely on program or the top. And that's important.
I have a question. You think they're gonna put no parking signs up in front of the new CISF buildings? Used to just, because you pull right up, that was a great place to park. Yeah. If that goes away, where are you gonna go? Yeah.
Walk right on the road. And, perhaps even where the extra parking is, for parking for the pavilion, if you could park alongside, that'd be great, park on the trails. I think
You can
there's
get-
a little bit of a walk.
You can get about two boat trailers going up the hill.
And you have just two now.
Yeah, it's about all you can squeeze in there, I think. But then you could put, like you say, half or six along where the new buildings are. Why didn't we get a vote on that?
Well, again, we don't want to be redesigning parking here. That's really not our goal.
No, we're just trying to figure out what the, we don't really have an insight as to what the numbers are. I mean, that's really
Right.
kind of what I was looking at. Are we looking at 12 to 20? Are we looking at,
Spots.
yeah,
No, use, how many you needed?
Right.
Maybe,
okay. Now, you got any insight on this?
So they 12 to 15 cars on during the summer, looking for truck trailer parking, and then this weekend, like a steady 30, probably. So I think to have that grade 16 way, it's really problematic. Say that throughout our process, so that, not that I want, I'm neutral on RVs, but if those RVs are in that spot, now solve. Be easier, I could plan out in, I tried to make on the back trailer, roads, on it's hard to see. So something that's easy in now, so, I mean, Jim's right, point, might put up a plan, because it sounded like, in the meeting yesterday, there was a lot of chat about how to park, then it almost sounded like we were talking about part of the truck and trailer money connected, but. So, and then there are trucks and trailers, where we are, or so. That's not cheap.
Thank you.
There are a lot of moving parts to what that committee is looking at, and
It sounds
Um,
like we should weigh in there.
I'm sorry,
I said, it does sound like we should weigh in there.
we will, we will, when we get to the point where that becomes a focus. Another update also on the Woodpile Pier, we do have, I've been in touch with the 4 vessels that have been at the pier in the last years, and all 4 have now registered, and 2 have been issued their permits, and 2 more are going through that process, so we're working our way through that. I did have one other thing that I wanted to just share with you tonight that is not for any kind of anything but an information, and it may be on next month's agenda. Okay, so I got an email today from a gentleman who is asking if he could put a mooring buoy into the Fort Weatherall, the eastern of the 2 coves in Fort Weatherall. The western cove is where the divers enter the water. The eastern cove, he's a licensed dive instructor, and he wants to start teaching free diving classes, which is diving without air assistance. And he wants it to be in 60 feet of water, because that's the depth in which he intends to teach to. And he asked today whether or not he would be allowed to put a float out in the outer end of that cove, in which, when he was having classes, he would bring his students out to that float. He would then install a dive flag and a small float for them to hang on to, in which they would then go through their instruction. And then at the end of it all, he would take all of that back except the float that he wants to leave in place, which would be anchored to the seafloor. It's not a mooring site. It literally would look like a lobster pot, except when he's now using it to work on or work off of. I don't see anything in the ordinance that speaks to any of that. I haven't dove deep into it, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that it might come up for further discussion at next month's meeting.
When you say float, do you mean a type mooring type ball type float or a dock type float? Because those are two.
No, more like a lobster pot.
Okay.
Is this guy aware of the hazards about snorkeling out there? The currents, depending on where he puts that, the currents are really rough out there. If you get near the point, the eastern point.
He did provide a snapshot of the location that he hopes to put that in, which is quite near the outbound end of the eastern point of that eastern cove,
That could be- that
which
could
is
be
where the
pretty
water
sporty out there.
gets to that 60-foot depth.
Is this state property or town property? That's what I'm wondering. Does that fall under town jurisdiction? Because it's at the.
I think it's town.
Is
I
it?
would
I think it's
assume it's
that
town.
close.
Right.
It's town. We need a lot more information. You know, we're not going to make any decisions on this any.
Yeah,
before
no, I'm not asking.
I
anyone
want to see, I want to see pictures you're talking about.
Yep,
And, it sounds like this is a new territory. I mean, we really need to take a scrub of the ordinance and see what's allowed.
he did insinuate that he's taking over for lessons from another free dive instructor, a guy named Dylan Currier. So I asked him to provide me the letter that Dylan received when he was allowed to put a device out there. So I'm waiting for that.
I don't recall ever seeing anything like that in my time, but
Me neither.
maybe that guy was a long time ago. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. Yeah, we need a lot more information, but yeah, we got the heads up
Yep.
and, yeah, we're going to need to get some info.
Another item for next month's agenda, which will be in, so we received a letter from a resident of the town who is asking that we install more kayak racks around the island in addition to the racks that are in place today, not in new locations, but more racks in those same locations to eliminate the wait list. So that'll be in your packet for next
All
month.
right. Yeah, that'll be next meeting
Yeah,
too.
I also told that individual that he'd be welcome to come and speak to the letter
Yeah.
at the meeting.
I think, in anticipation of that, I saw the email. Thanks for copying me on that. And, we're going to need, I mean,
Parking.
By
You're-
next.
you're
by next
counting-
month, We
you're-
will have all the details
Yeah.
as to what size the wait list is.
it seems to me there's always room on the kayak rack, even though they're sold out in theory.
Yeah.
But, I'm not
It's-
sure about the need for more racks.
Yeah, I
and-
mean, speaking of which, Joan has been spending almost every available moment the past several weeks reassigning permits to people who have given up their mooring, given up their kayak rack, given up their beach permit and so on. So just since the last meeting, Joan has assigned 18 new people to kayak racks and 7 new people to moorings, and the work continues.
Okay.
So by this time next month, we expect everything to be assigned. We will know what size wait lists exist and where.
Okay, good. There's another piece to that too, and it has to do with DEM and, how much real estate they're willing to let
Right.
us.
I had a conversation with CRMC late last week about the process of additional kayak racks. And this was before this letter came, but just knowing that there might be a need if the wait list swells in one particular area, we might want to put another kayak rack in. So I've got the name of that individual, and so I can
Okay.
work on that should the need exist.
Great.
I have a question, Jim. You brought up the Woodpile Pier. Has there been any movement on trying to claw back some money from the town to support that now that we own it?
No effort to date.
Is there a plan to approach the town, or should we write a letter? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think the commission should get the revenue from it.
Mm.
It's just currently for this year, I know it's earmarked for the general, but I certainly would like to push it for next year.
Okay.
No question, we should be getting that revenue. Definitely get that revenue.
Yeah.
I have an update on the harbor, on the, touch and go, but I'm gonna wait until
Yeah,
we get to
okay.
that place.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you. That's it.
All right, Bart, do you have anything?
Just cutting the shrink wrap off the boat soon. Looking forward to that soonish. Teams in place other than an intern, and we've had some work done on the boat, so they should be ready to go and ready to put in the water sometime in May.
And your two assistants are the same as last year, right?
Yeah, Larry and Mike, or Paco as he's known.
Okay, the financial report, Bob.
Yeah, I didn't get finances. I thought originally I was going to be away, so I apologize that I didn't get finances this time. I usually bug Jim and I.
Yeah, I didn't
I
ask
forgot.
Tina for it. I
Yeah.
thought you were away, Bob.
Yeah, I was originally supposed to be, so yeah.
Same. Subcommittees, okay, same with budget. Okay, facilities, Jim or Paul, or both?
I would first start with, Jim and I went to TPG Taylor Point while their workers were working on a number of docks, which includes the town docks. And you could see that they had started the progress. I had some conversations, and Jim was with me. He may have in fact doubled up on the conversation that when they do start moving them and getting them in the air, do a visual inspection of the underside in case there's rotten backing plates, rotten bolts and nuts and things of that nature, which they confirmed that that would be on the agenda. Correct, Jim? You remember?
Correct. Brad Flood is supervising the work on the docks. They've brought in an outside contractor for that work, and Brad is spearheading that and confirmed that inspection of tanks and underboards is part of once they lift them up off the ground.
That's the Brad I know, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they provide you a written report or anything?
I gave them a punch list, and then once they complete the work, I will get a report of the work done.
Aside from that, the rest that I would talk about is already later on the agenda.
Coming up, okay.
Yeah, the only thing I'm curious about is where we are with anything that has to do with the touch and go. And I watched the meetings while I was away, and I was able to observe quite a bit of the action down at the ramp and the clearing down there. It looks pretty good. Tony's given me a little report on that it looks pretty good, for better to launch at low tide than it has been. So somewhat mission accomplished for now, which is great. I know the guys worked really hard down there to kind of pay attention to what we want. I was able to give them some instruction and keep them on track as to how we kind of wanted to have that little channel running. So I think that was accomplished. Other than that, I'm just curious if there's been any progress on applying for a change in the water type.
That's coming up in
And,
May.
you know, and
I-
that's.
I have
other-
information on that.
That's
Do we
fine.
want to
I
wait
think
until we
that's-
get
Yeah.
to old
That's
business?
later in the agenda.
Yep, that's fine. That's,
Stand by,
appreciate it.
okay?
And one other thing, the large piece of equipment they rented, and Jim had received a bill last week, I think,
Yep.
for much lower than Ed Mello thought.
Yeah, I was pretty
It
happy.
was
We
less
got
than
the,
half of what
we
Ed
got
thought.
the discount from the guy that had been, Mike Gray has been renting equipment from this gentleman for upwards of, I believe, 30 years. Sadly, the day that this gentleman dropped this piece of equipment off, he went home and died of a heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know what future equipment rental discounts might be possible to the town. That's for
Yeah.
Mike Gray to work on.
Well,
And we only used it for like 3
Yeah.
days, right? That
I'm
was-
glad to hear that because I think we rented it for a week and I think they actually were doing the work in like 2 days, 2 or 3, maybe
Yeah,
2 and a half.
At least 3 days it was there, I
Yeah.
think, but yeah. So that's probably part of it as well. They picked it
Yeah.
up early. So that's too bad.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Condolences to his family. That's awful.
Definitely.
And the price was 3,100?
$3,100 for that
And where is that,
60-foot reach.
where is that coming out of our budget?
We've got, yeah, maintenance of docks and harbors,
Yeah, okay.
a budget line item.
And the town didn't give us a bill for their labor.
Well,
Say again?
we'll get one from them.
Are we still anticipating a town bill for their labor?
I'm not going to ask for one.
Yeah,
It's public record now.
All right, anything else, Jim,
Gee, Mike.
on facilities?
it's on the agenda.
Okay. Good. All right, Gould Island. I think we know the
No,
answer.
no updates till June.
June,
Yeah.
June. Right after DEM, right. Okay, we did the liaison reports and moving on to old business. The touch and go float at Fort Getty boat ramp.
Okay. Hold on to your seats. As I have been sharing with you, I had been going back and forth with the engineer that I originally had the conversation with for a touch and go that goes back to last summer. My latest correspondence with him was regarding either a water reclass or the use of a special exception. His response slammed the door on the possibility of a water reclass. And I will read you from the Red Book and the CRMC policies, which states for Class 1 waters. And I read this to the ad hoc committee yesterday because they are equally interested in a touch and go dock. Notwithstanding the council's prohibition against construction of recreational boating type facilities in type 1 waters, the council recognizes that some residential boating facilities may have pre-existed in type 1 waters prior to the formation of the council. The council's ultimate goal is to remove said structures and restore the areas involved to be free of all recreational boating facilities.
Wow.
If your organization is planning to pursue this project of reclassifying waters, you should be aware that it will receive adverse recommendations from CRMC in accordance with these policies. So
They're so helpful.
the only possibility is a special exception. At the same time, in speaking with this gentleman, when I mentioned to him about the possibility of the special exemption instead, he referred me to a gentleman named Mason Sherman. I got right on phone with Mason, sent him an email outlining our wish, the letters of support we've received, the fact that this water was and has been type 1, but prior to that, we have a pier, we have outhauls, we have a boat ramp, and so forth. He was definitely more receptive to the idea of a touch and go dock, would not commit to one, but has instructed me and provided me with a litany of details that I need to cover when applying for a maintenance assent for a touch and go dock, which I will begin to work on.
Do you need any help with that?
I will absolutely need help with this. I probably also have to enlist an engineer to draw out
Sure.
a proposal.
Right.
So I need to get my head around all of this, which there is quite a bit of information to digest, and then sit down and create a plan of attack. And honestly, I was thinking of Dan, hopefully, because you are skilled in writing for grants. I don't know if it's an interest of yours.
I don't have much of a choice. It gets me paid every day. So if I can help along the way, I'm happy to.
Yeah. Good.
And
I'm in as well, whatever you need.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you, the commission, should decide who should be involved. So Wayne brings a ton of experience and time to it. Dan has some application skills. I don't know who to suggest or whether you should
I've
even
been-
decide that tonight.
I've been looking at it too. I mean, I think probably I follow a lot of things you did. I went to the library, you know, through the historic stuff, and I was trying to determine how long has that ramp been there? When was it there? Was it there in 1955 when the town acquired Fort Getty?
It probably was in a lesser form because in 2008, the town redid the ramp.
Okay, but I think, you know, I'm sure it predated that.
Yeah, the
But,
outfalls
I
were
would
there.
like to have some facts in this letter that says, we understand in I think it was 88 was when they first classified waters. Up before that, there was no classification, like you said. I found the same thing, not that I didn't believe you. But
The
the
outhauls were
outhauls
put
too.
in
I've been trying to find out how long have the outhauls been?
1985. I
That
have
was the first outhaul, was
Yep.
85?
Yep.
Okay.
So that brings up the point that the water was misclassified in the first
Yeah,
place.
that is my whole point in that the beginning of this letter would be, this never should have been classified class 1. And, you know, we're not looking at totally reclassifying all of Sheffield Cove, and we just want to carve out a piece.
So it's easier for us.
It is not a class 1. It's not
Right.
used as a class 1, never has and continues not to be. Now, the Red Book piece that you just read said their aim is to eliminate all those things.
There's also an aim there's an aim to eliminate CRMC as well. So that's
No,
a
I know.
positive.
I know. At any rate, Dan, that's great.
When you guys
You
got.
know, I've already done some research and I'll be willing to contribute to this letter in any
Well,
way I can
it's
help.
it's not a letter, it's a full-blown application
Okay,
with,
whatever.
Right.
I'd be glad to help.
okay.
Same.
I will, I'll touch base with you, Mark, next week, and you can confirm amongst your team who exactly will be with us, and then we'll get together for a first go around. I'll forward the list of different information necessary, and we can sit down initially and come up with a plan.
I have a question on procedurally. Obviously, we can only have so many of us in a room discussing that. Unless we advertise that, do we have a workshop that is, you know, can we do something like that where more of us can be involved? And we have a meeting that we actually do advertise and have here in the chambers, but it's more of a roundtable that we're allowed to discuss this as a group and have a little more time. If anybody's more than 3 people are willing to sit down and kind of come up with a strategy on it, because I think there's a lot involved in this. So I'm just procedurally, I'm just
Yep.
wondering if we can still collaborate as a group, but have it as a public meeting kind of.
I might suggest then that before we go any further, that I forward the information to the Harbor Commission so that you all see what is involved.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
It can be
good, yeah.
discussed at the next meeting,
Yep.
Right.
because this is not going to happen this summer.
No.
Right.
And then at our next gathering, we can determine who gets to kick the tires and with what information that's garnered.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Sounds good.
Do we need to vote on anything or just leave it at that? I think we're good, huh?
Yeah.
We need more information. You give us more information, then we'll decide what we're going to do, how we're going to approach it, who's going to be
Yeah.
in this subcommittee or whatever.
Hold on stuff you haven't read.
All right. Okay. The dock reconfiguration at West Ferry. Now, I think we this came up last meeting, I think. Wayne asked a question about what are we talking about? Because he was new to the committee or the Harbor Commission, and it was in the context of what Stephen Bois had thought, threw out some ideas. We were looking at getting some free pier or floating docks from Newport, and what are we going to do with them? How would we use them? And that's what Joan provided here. And the blue on this picture of Dutch shows where Stephen thought we might be able to use pieces of this stuff. I think another piece was going to go, we were hoping, over at Fort Getty as a touch and go. And I think we even had a piece, this was huge, there's a lot of dock. And we're going to use some on East Ferry too.
It was junk is what
And that-
it was,
and
turned
in
out
the
to be
end-
junk.
After looking at it, divers went under, it wasn't worth it. Just wasn't worth the effort. So anyhow, this is what one piece is. But since then, the facility subcommittee, Paul and Jim and I went down and we looked at and brainstormed and we came up with a different thought, an idea. And I thought I gave them out a while ago when it came up.
You did.
I know you have that. Paul, do you want another copy? You have a copy, right?
Yeah, I'll take one.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And, okay, you guys are sharing down there.
Yeah.
First page is what's existing. Second page is what we thought might be a good idea. And how to use or expand the docks down there at West Ferry.
That's what's existing.
And which really hasn't gone anywhere, since then. We've acquired the Wood Pile Pier, along with some type of touch and go dock at East Ferry. We've got the Fort Getty floating dock project on, it's on our agenda. So this kind of has fallen back. So right now, I would say, I think this is an idea right now. I don't think we're going to vote or move forward. In the meantime, I know Jim has been down there a few times. I went down. I don't know if Wayne went down one time during the storm. It can be pretty nasty. And, how this dock idea we had would work out maybe is up for some discussion.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, go ahead.
Did we come up with is there a perimeter? I see somewhat of a perimeter for the outhalls and all that, but do we know what the perimeter is there?
Yeah, I thought that was part of
I see it for the outhalls.
yeah, it wasn't part of this thing. I do have it.
Well, I think
Yeah.
because of the railway.
We're good.
comes out Woodland Farm.
Yeah, it wouldn't be interfering with the railway at all.
There
Well, I
is,
mean, to what-
Well, yeah, but, right. Does it go that far out? Is it all encompassing as far as piers and?
Really dictated by the end of the ramp and they do straight lines.
I have a picture of the perimeter.
Yeah.
It's a dotted line and it includes the.
And it's inside that, yeah.
Where would, we were looking at doing this.
Yeah.
Be okay.
Mark, this proposed piece, is that floating or is that fixed on pilings? What is?
We'd have to have pilings.
It's floating, but it's fixed to piles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only way it would divide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Piles would keep it from getting beat up. Piles would fend it off. It would not be in contact with the bulkhead. It would be just a short distance from the bulk. But again, this proposal is for touch and go, not for dinghies to stay there for any period of time.
Yeah, the thought would be the dinghies would be kind of inside that triangle still. I mean, but it does provide more dinghy, dockage space there on inside more than what we have now. Right now, it's an L shape for the dinghies, and by extending that, that dock where the harbor master boat used to be, it gives some more space for dinghies.
I might suggest starting by defining how it would be used and then determine its best location. If it's intended for large vessel touch and go versus dinghy touch and go or additional dinghy storage or other means, I think that might be helpful to know before you start putting pencil to paper with layouts.
Well, I think my thought, and I think you guys do, I mean, it's the way the touch and go is now. I mean, it's for any
Strictly
vessel,
touch and go.
however much space is available, if you can fit, you can use it. But it's a touch and go. You can't stay overnight or,
The next
Are we
step will
talking
be a
about the
time limit.
pump out dock or?
Yeah.
Well, it
Right.
would be next to the pump out dock. Yeah, I think the idea is it gives you more linear feet. So if, you know, that one, the T head kind of there, I could put my boat on there, but
Remember.
it was pretty wild, you know, getting in there 65, 72 feet along that dock. This other one was, I forget what we figured out was the dimension of it, but, you know, a 35, 40-foot sailboat could easily pull in alongside there, and it's not as difficult to come alongside there as it is on that, you know, you get a little shorter space. And it just adds more opportunity for touch and go. And, but you know, it comes down to me, it comes down to budgetary, you know, what are we looking at? You know, what would it even cost? And I mean, I know a couple of dock builders. I could give them the, you know, dimensions of it and kind of come up with a preliminary idea what it would cost to even build those floats and drive the piles.
Yeah.
And then we know, is it going to be 150,000? Is it more, you know, if we get to that number where we go, nah, never mind, you know,
That's an important.
I think the budget is the
Yeah.
first number.
Yeah.
I can easily get that taken care of by the next meeting and have some sort of a report on a, you know, estimated cost for something of that size. And then we go from there and we just keep, you know, if we have to keep kicking it down the road, we get more and more information. Again, this is not an overnight thing. There's CRMC is probably going to be involved in that as well, even though it's in the marina perimeter.
Yeah.
Unquestionably, they'd be
Um,
involved because we'd
yeah.
be talking about driving piles.
Right.
Right.
Easier to do inside the perimeter, but it's, you still got to get the permit. So, if you want me to look into numbers, I can do that and we can just keep looking at
It
it.
may, you know, that's probably, that's a real good idea because we maybe just say, forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, not wasting more time on it.
And same thing with the touch and go at Getty. I can do some research on, you know, what it would cost to build a float that would be suitable down there, whether we're gonna, I don't know whether in
Yeah.
the future we're talking about driving pilings and making a pier with a ramp down to something, or we're still talking about coming off of that trio of pilings there, that, you know, that dolphin,
Yeah.
and landing on the beach.
The
But
conversation I had
Still
with
got length.
Mason was a pile would piles not connected to the outhaul piling,
okay,
separate
so new piles.
new piles.
Yeah.
Closer to the ramp.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably a boat width or so equivalent away from the ramp so that people can still launch and there can be a boat at the touch and go at the same time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I
Yeah.
can-
I mean, you're already looking at trying to get an engineer to draw this out. Yes?
I have someone that I would have it, but I
Okay.
have not had a conversation.
Yeah. That
At that
seems to me that's how we should go with that. Kind of.
they're
See,
both
what's the
budget-
design? I mean, no one's,
Yeah.
you're not be able to get a price until you know what it is you want.
Right.
So,
I know the basic rule of thumb is for a floating dock is $500 a foot.
Is that including the piling?
No,
no.
They're probably 2,500 to 3,000 each stick. Yeah.
And the mobilization.
Right. Well, I'm just talking about materials and driving it, you know, that's just the, once they're there.
Mobilization cost is a big number.
and we
too.
have to design it in a manner that allows it to be removed during the off season or storm event.
Unbolt the hoops.
Yep.
Part of the calculus too is maintenance and, you know,
Yes.
where's that money coming from?
Yep. Comes, yep.
I'm tempted to say, we know that we need a 5-year plan.
Right.
And we really should not plan to do much of anything until we have a 5-year plan that we can then prioritize based on where the needs exist and then use the budget accordingly. What I can't tell you is, and I'm waiting for Ed to give me direction, is developing the 5-year plan my responsibility for you to review and approve, your responsibility for me to assist, or is it a combination of that? Because Wayne, when you were here last, was a 5-year plan developed, and by whom?
I think that would your equivalent.
Because we can't find one from, in the records.
You can't find an old one.
Nope.
I can from back in like 2012. I got some ancient history.
I think you're right, though. We got to figure out something. We got the Woodpile Pier in our life now, and that's a big deal.
It could very well be a big deal.
Capturing
The
that
next home
revenue.
That Woodpile Pier could
Yep.
be
Yep.
in need of quite a bit. for all we know.
What's the revenue down there? It's not much, right? I mean, what do we got? 5 boats down there for?
4 boats
Yeah.
at $50 a foot.
Yeah,
It's not a lot of money.
right.
Which, again, I'm going to plug renting dinghy space behind the patrol boats instead of leaving it as a touch and go, because it's an income that we might desperately need.
Yeah. And does anybody know if do they track the revenue coming in at Getty from trailers that they come in? So is it separately tracked?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So that's some money we could potentially fold into our budget, hopefully, as a harbor dollars, not just Getty. Since it's a harbor maintenance, you might want to look at that too.
Yep.
So in regards to a 5-year plan, we talked about that at the last meeting briefly. And we all felt that the boat ramp at Fort Getty was priority 1. And then I think we talked about we need to define the work that is necessary. And priority 2 would be Woodpile Pier, and then the West Ferry touch and go. But what else should be on that list?
Well, we're not gonna develop a 5-year plan
That
tonight.
question.
Income stream,
Right.
the condition of that Woodpile Pier.
I think in all honesty, I mean, that we have this Fort Getty thing moving along in the sense that we got the ramp taken care of. That's a big deal. We already know that we want to get this touch and go done. That is in the works. We're moving along with that, but it's going to take some time. I do think that probably moving our focus towards that Woodpile Pier as far as a maintenance situation and its future is more something we should really focus on to kind of spruce that up the best we can and see what the long range goal is down there. Well, we can keep looking at the Fort Getty thing and working on it because we're in motion there. Things are happening and we just keep staying on it. That's something that I think the Woodpile Pier is a big
Yes, for sure.
item.
It has the ability to be our biggest nemesis.
And it's also our greeting point.
Yep.
It's where people come and that's their first step onto Jamestown.
Yeah.
And I think it's in presentation is an important thing.
I mean, I might suggest that because Bart's team is putting the boats in the water in less than a month's time or so, we start the exercise by getting a few of you on the boat with Bart at low tide and do an initial visual inspection of the Woodpile Pier to start to gather data on what we know are at risk. Piles, cross braces, and so on and so forth. And we could then start to investigate the costs associated with improvements, fixing, bringing things back to acceptable condition and so on and so forth. I don't know if that's how we start or if we go right to it with an engineer that says, give me an estimate on what it's going to take for you to assess the structure as it exists today.
Yeah, it seems to me that happened when Connecticut Marine, Mr. Munger acquired the new vessel, putting his dock in. I know I went under there with some folks. Mike Graves, one of them, but it seems to me there were some engineers involved in that too. Might have been Regan, the people who were doing the pilings. I think we've done that. Not that long ago.
A long time ago.
It wasn't that long.
Either way, I'm happy to get on the boat and get eyes on stuff and start making some notes on things that can be, even if we need to Band-Aid some things right away, because there could be some safety stuff there we're not seeing. So I think it's important that we do get eyes on it. So, reach out to me when the boat's splashed.
I will. And I know that at least on the issue of cross braces, there's some repairs that need to be done.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, how much of that would be under TPG's time?
None.
Zero.
Isn't it?
No.
Absolutely zero.
It's all us now.
In the that there was agreement, they spent a certain amount
That lease
per
changed.
year. And that lease is gone and
At
Changed,
least
yeah.
it's gone.
that part of, yeah.
Yep.
So they don't put any.
We're now responsible at the end of this year for now hauling our own town docks. That used to be part of the lease.
Responsible in the sense that we'd have to pay them if they still have a crane.
pay someone.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gone.
Right. Yeah, I've started looking around at where I might store our own docks next winter.
I got space for rent. Always out for a dime.
Okay,
The Taylor or the transfer station, maybe I would think if we.
Fort Weatherall, right
Alright.
alongside the Boat Owners Association.
Yep.
I've got a spot there.
All right. Well, that being the case, when they haul theirs out, they get a boom truck down there. Is that something we could tow those floats down
Exactly.
there and lift them?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
all right. Can we move on to the correspondence? Or you want to put this stuff on next year's or next month's agenda? 5-year plan?
Yeah, send us all that documentation that you had so we can review all that and kind of get our eyes on it. And
That I will, but on the 5-year plan, I think we need a plan as to how to start.
Right.
And
That's part of it.
that's the first.
We need all these requirements and the data on what we can do,
Right.
what's possible.
Right. And without knowing the numbers, you can't dovetail it into the budget.
Okay.
the,
Well, this is a discussion that's going to be ongoing, so
Agreed.
we'll just put it on the agenda for
Agreed.
next time.
and let's also add the asset inventory back on the agenda, which still needs to be brought up to date.
Have you talked to Ed about the 5-year plan, and does he have any recollection of putting one together?
I left him a message hoping he'd get back to me today regarding what I've just shared. Is it my responsibility to
Okay.
present to the commission? Is it the commission's responsibility to arrive at it, in which I would then assist with? And where does it all lie? And I haven't heard back. So I definitely will have some information for us going forward. I had hoped to have it today.
He would be the belly button on that, the 5-year plan, in terms of history.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, correspondence. The letter of support from CISF, Meg, thanks very much for that letter. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And was there something more to discuss or vote on here?
I plan to add it to the packet if
Yeah.
the commission agrees.
Right, absolutely. I mean, that's why we wanted it.
We
Yeah.
need to move to the correspondence.
And my only, with the correspondence, Meg, I wouldn't say it's an issue, but in the letter, there was a lot of talk about your use of future touch and go and how it might be utilized by the sailing school. And I have some concerns with that, and I appreciate your support, of course. But I just don't want this touch and go to then be overrun by the Sailing Foundation and it's used more and taken up or taken over by the sailing school when somebody's launching a boat. We've got a bunch of little sailboats and, you mentioned teaching lessons out of there. And in the future, I'd like the commission to weigh in on what we think the uses of that dock should be and what the limitations should be is my only concern. That's up to you. A long ways off. I just want
Yeah, I think we can all play nice down there. It's going to be a good improvement. And, even if maybe the little small boats, the small sailboats, the dinghies, they go on the north side, on the side opposite of
right.
the ramp, so that launching the boat is, seems pretty easy that way.
Anytime I've come in and out of there, I've always been afraid when I see all the kids, but then everybody knows what to do and it all works out great so far.
It is our hope also that on busy weekends, that the harbor master or the assistant that's on that day starts their day in the mornings down by that ramp to make sure that things are orderly and almost acting like as the water police.
On the, okay, anything else on the CISF correspondence?
Vote to accept the correspondence?
We need to accept it, sure.
Second?
I'll say.
Second, you got a second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
I
All
second.
right.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you. On correspondence though, Jim, what about something from the Fort Getty Committee?
I had that conversation with Ed and Marissa Quinn, and Ed felt it was, because it was an ad hoc committee, it was outside of their purview.
I would agree.
Okay. All right, so that's not happening. But we got to make sure we have a voice in there. And I know you're the guy, you're our guy. And, you know, all these concerns about parking and trailers and use of a new floating dock and money, you know, income stream. I think all of that's got to go in to their report. You're our guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you need more? I guess we're not going to get more representation on that.
no.
They don't have an audience at all?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, the
It's
public.
It's
is-
open to the public.
public as
Certainly
well.
could go
When do the
in
meetings take place?
Tuesday in the middle of the day.
Most of the time it's Tuesdays from 1 to 3, but it's not always.
But where?
Right here.
Right here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. New business, there's nothing on the agenda. Open forum. Mr. Pinero.
Push the button one more time, just once. There you go. Night. Yeah.
Oh, great, thank you. You know who I am. Okay, only, about the touch and go dock. This would be for Jim. If he could, next time you talk to somebody at CRMC, if you add on that there's aquaculture that happens in that area, that'll have some weight. That changes, like you could, for instance, I'm in type 1 water with my operation. If you added aquaculture to that application, or maybe the question, and if that changes in the red book, you'll find about 20 pages on uses that aquaculture has in the type 1 wetlands, anything like that. You could, if you added that in there, it's a lot of weight it adds on
Hey,
there.
hey, Tony, would you be willing to write a letter of support for the touch and go doc? And we put it in the packet with the other ones?
Oh, well, I could do that. I mean, I'm here every week, so I mean, every month.
I
but
think that's a great
I
idea.
would definitely, not that it benefits me at all, because we touch and go. We're in and out as, you know, Mother Nature lets us be in and out. And if it's crowded, we don't go. If the low tide, we don't go. It was great they dug out the dock, and the touch and go would be great for
Is there,
everybody.
Tony, excuse me, is there some type of an association for aquaculture farmers like yourself?
Actually, no, but that's a good point. So probably, I mean, I've thought about it. My plate's pretty full
mean,
right now, so I've thought about, you know, getting something together with the
Yeah, yeah,
aquaculture
a
guy
voice,
to
a
have a
voice.
voice, right?
For the state or RMC or?
The state, they're really, there's a Shell Fishermen's Association, but that's basically a mix of aquaculture and
Lobstermen and
lobstermen and everything. So it's not like everybody's on the same page all the time. But if you definitely look into that, I mean, the aquaculture, if I personally, or if any aquaculturist would to go to the CRMC and say, I want to put an upweller in over there. Well, pretty much you guys wouldn't even hear about it. You know what I mean? Because it's type 1 and, oh yeah, we can go to harbor, we'll get the opinion, but basically they override whatever, you know, conservation, or even though conservation was for our project, there were people that were against it because we were in a conservation zone. doesn't matter, you know, when we could put anchors, you know, we have probably 100 anchors on our site, and
Yeah.
you're not even
Tony,
allowed to anchor.
If you did put together a letter and you got everybody that uses that area for aquaculture, get them all to sign it, I think that would add a bit of weight.
There you go.
Not just you, but everybody.
I can do that easy enough, yeah. I mean, I'm in communication with them daily.
Official organization, but you got everybody to sign it.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, that might be helpful.
yeah, yeah. Because it is getting used for aquaculture, not a good percentage now.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
All right.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, second.
Who's the second? You can't do both.
I second the motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I said it backwards.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.